Where do we stand right now?
All right. Chase Thomas on the season is a glowing 66-25 overall, 47-42-2 against the spread. I am 10 games back overall, 56-35, but 6 games back against the spread at 41-48-2. So still working to try to get back to 500. Zeus, on the other hand, has won 3 straight home dogs of the week. Get his record up to 5-4 on the season. So we'll see if he can get a 4th straight victory.
There you go. This will be good. Matt Green, where are we going first this week?
We're gonna start off in dark mode, as they are calling it this week. Up on Rocky Top, the Kentucky Wildcats, 12.5-point road dog to the Tennessee Volunteers. And I look at this one, had some Kentucky fans in my mentions this week. You know, when I say Kentucky was struggling to run the ball, because I can't remember who it was, 24/7, Tennessee 24/7 sports guy. Can't remember his name.
Wes Rucker.
There you go. He said something about, you know, how can you not run up tempo when you got a first round quarterback like this? And I feel like it's just hyping up like you hype up your opponent to when you wanted to make him look better when you beat him. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, this guy, he's real tough. One of the strongest guys I've ever seen. So when you beat him, you know, you look that much better. That's how the Will Levis talk feels from Tennessee people this week. It's like, you know, this guy's first round quarterback. It's like, we all know Will Levis isn't a first round quarterback. I don't care what Mel Kiper says. We all see with our eyes how good he is on Saturdays. He's fine. He's not a first rounder, but there's multiple ways to have a good offense. You don't have to just run up tempo. This Tennessee thing they're doing, it's obviously been super successful, but you can also run the ball, play ball control, have a good offense, be balanced running and passing. And that's what Kentucky typically does. And they're one of the better running teams in the SEC over the last 5-6 years. But this year, they're just not that. They're, I think, 11th in the conference in rushing so far this year. And while Tennessee has been really like that, that's how they're going to have to beat Tennessee. Like, they're not going to be able to score with them. They have to play time of possession. They have to have the ball for 40 plus minutes. And even playing Tennessee, that doesn't mean you're going to beat Tennessee with these quick strike offense they have. But you're going to have to run the ball, keep the Tennessee offense off the field. Their defense has been really good. That's the one thing Kentucky does, I think, have a legitimate like edge here, is their defense has been one of the best in the SEC this year, but they haven't been what they typically want to be running the football. Like, they've been better since Chris Rodriguez has been back, but I just don't think they're going to be able to hang with like a Wake Forest Army type game, right? Where one team just scores in 30 seconds and the other has the ball for 8 minutes. Like, that's the strategy, I feel like, Kentucky, but I don't see it happening. Kentucky hasn't run the ball well, and Tennessee's been good against the run this year. So I'm going to take Tennessee to win and cover. They could be looking ahead to that big matchup with Georgia next week, but I think the black unis, the environment, that'll keep this one exciting. I don't think they'll overlook Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think and you mentioned getting the ball for 40 minutes. Like, Bama had the ball for 37 and a half. In the 52-49 win for the Vols. Vols only had it for 22 minutes and scored 52 points. Like, ball control is nice and all, but there's nothing more deflating than having like a 12-play, just beautiful drive by Kentucky, like a beautiful one. Like, they just really ran it down Tennessee's throat. They had a couple big chunk plays. And then literally the second play from scrimmage, Tennessee just bombs it to Jalen Hyde over the top, and you're right back on the field. I think it's just more arduous for teams to win consistently the way Kentucky plays. I think a lot more has to go their way than Tennessee's way, where Kentucky falling down 3 scores is far more of a disaster situation than Tennessee falling down 3 scores with the way they play. You just have to win a certain way if you're going to beat Kentucky. And like, obviously, Will Levis is banged up. He's missed games this year. We'll see what that looks like with the offensive line. I don't know if you mentioned that really, but the offensive line is part of the reason this running game sucks, and it's part of the reason that Will
100%.
Levis has been knocked out of these games is that he's getting hit a bunch this year. And the offensive line, the change there, I think, has been the biggest difference with Kentucky from a year ago versus this year, where like Kentucky obviously lost their offensive line coach. He goes to Bama this offseason. And then you also have just a bunch of turnover there. And it's just not the same group. Cole Kublik, former Auburn player, ESPN guy, he tweeted this out that I thought was pretty interesting. Ball football has scored 30 plus points in 10 straight games, longest streak in program history. Kentucky football has allowed 24 or fewer points in 11 straight games, longest active streak in FBS. Okay, well, guess what? Tennessee scored 49 last year with the worst offense. And Kentucky, I think, was a better team last year, and they got them at home. So one of those things has to change, and Kentucky cannot win this game if Tennessee's scoring anywhere near 50. Like, for Kentucky to win, it has to be like the Ole Miss situation, where if you're a Kentucky fan, you want it to go like Ole Miss, where you're like, we stifled Ole Miss, we took their big shots, but ultimately we kept Jackson Dart in check. We let Judkins run all over us, but like still, we were a bend don't break team, and we were in it until the last play. Like, we had the ball and we fumbled, and that was it. But we should have really probably won that game on the road. Here's the problem: Ole Miss's offense and Jackson Dart is not Hendon Hooker. Like, that's the biggest difference of Kentucky wanting to play a similar game to Ole Miss, is that what we've seen from Jackson Dart and what we just saw from him on the road in Baton Rouge is different. He's not a Heisman candidate. Like, Hendon Hooker is having the best season everybody in the SEC this year. Yeah, Bryce Young's the best player, but Hendon Hooker is having the best season. And I think there's a difference there when talking about the draft and talking about just what we've seen to this point. I look at this matchup and I think it's a bad one for Kentucky. Tennessee is 8th in the country, like 8th in rushing defense. Like, you cannot run on Tennessee to this point. Chris Rodriguez, if he's bottled up and they have to rely on Will Levis to do stuff behind this shaky offensive line, it's just not a recipe for success against this Tennessee team. I think this is a worse matchup for Kentucky than, even Florida was. I think Florida had a better chance of coming into Knoxville and beating Tennessee than Kentucky does. I don't think this stuff is real for them. I don't think they have a chance. Like, seeing the double-digit spread here, I think is pretty indicative of where a lot of folks see these two programs at the moment. Another fascinating nugget from Connor O'Gara, friend of the pod of Saturday Night South. He said in his preview write-up, I thought was interesting, quote, Kentucky has not beaten an AP top 5 team since 2007, Matt Green, and hasn't done so on the road since the Jimmy Carter administration.
That's not recent.
No, I'm not like, this is silly. I should be worried. Like, you got like the upset potential at home. You got Georgia the following week. Like, I obviously will be like locked in everything, but I'm not shaky about this game. This is not the one I'm shaky about. I don't think this is, if Tennessee gets tripped up the rest of the way at home, it's not this one. It's not Mizzou.
Hot take. If this is a game in the second or third quarter, you will see a surprise onside kick from Kentucky at some point. Because that's the only way they'll have to steal a possession or something like that. Like, because there's just no way they're going to be able to hang with Tennessee's offense.
Well, they have to force turnovers. Like, if it's like 3 turnovers, like 3 fumbles by Tennessee in the first half, then I could see it. Like, that has to happen. They have to force a multitude of turnovers. This defense has to be top notch.
And they've only allowed 4 touchdowns. They're second in total defense in the SEC. They've only allowed 4 passing touchdowns on the season. So it's like they have been good defensively, but they also haven't faced a team like Tennessee, and on the road as well. And I was also selling them short for how bad they've been on the ground. 113 yards a game. That is 13th in the SEC. Only Mississippi State averages less yards a game on the ground. Nobody has the worst yards per carry. They're at 3.1 yards per carry so far this year. Yeah, so like they just haven't been able to get it down.
The line sucks.
They're going to have to play, and against Mississippi State, they ran the ball really well, and like that's how they're going to have to play offensively. And you're not going to see that. Like, it's the winning formula would have to be them playing better than they've played all season, and I don't necessarily see that happening against Tennessee. The last thing I'll say, Do you know the last 2 times these teams played as both ranked opponents?
2016?
Incorrect, sir. It was 1951. And the number 1 Tennessee Volunteers beat the number 9 Kentucky Wildcats 28-0. Do you also know what
Wait, say that
happened
again. What was the original question?
the last 2 times they were ranked playing each other?
They were not. Wait, were they both not even ranked last year? That's wild. Man.
Yeah. 1951 was the last time. Do you know what else happened in 1951?
What?
That would be one of Tennessee's 2 national titles in program history.
There you go. Everything's coming up 98. People forget.
Up 98. Now it's coming up 51. There's the things are aligning for the Volunteers.
YouTube.com/ChaseThomasPodcast.
People know about 98. People know about 98. Not many people shout out the 51 team. Doesn't get enough respect. Is that a General Neyland team, 51? Or is he like 1920s?
I think I was gonna say I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I would have my doubts. I don't think it was General Neyland. Yeah, General Neyland died in 1962.
Okay.
Yeah, 1952. Oh, 1952 is his last year.
Okay, so that
was him. Okay. Second to last year. He was 173-31.
Not pretty bad. Good. Not bad at all.
He counts 4 championships though. 38, 40, 50, and 51.
No, is that right?
Yeah.
College football, you never know.
When you get that far back, like it's just Alabama claims stuff that some folks disagree that they should be claiming.
Yeah, and the College Football Hall of Fame, I remember, claims a different year than Georgia claims. Like they had like 1927 and 1980 at the time, and the only 2 in the stadium are 1942 and 1980, and now 2021, obviously. But
their only loss that year was at Mississippi State.
Fun fact. But yeah, so 51, who knows? Last time they played a ranked Kentucky team when they were ranked, also won a national championship. So
would Georgia fans be salty if Tennessee really did do the LSU thing this year?
I mean, yeah, Georgia fans don't want Tennessee to win a national championship. What kind of question is that?
But like salty, like really upset. Like you had to rise and wait, and then Heupel comes in year 2 and just immediately wins a national title. Would that be tough? Like, what would it be worse?
I don't think I would care about that as much, because it's like Kirby year 2 was an overtime, a busted coverage away from a national championship year 2. So they also had the quick rise. It obviously took them longer to win the actual national championship. But I think it's more of just from a competitive balance standpoint. It's like, okay, Tennessee just won a national championship. Like that's another, elite program within like a 6-7 hour radius of Athens, Georgia, like that. And that's why, like, when Clemson and Alabama were facing each other years ago, I remember I was one of the few Georgia fans rooting for Alabama. I'm like, where are we recruiting against Alabama every year? I don't want another team an hour up the road from Atlanta to win a national championship. So yeah, so Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, all in that like 6 hour radius or so of Athens.
Well, obviously, I'm going to go Vols win and cover for this one. But I think if you play this game 100 times, Tennessee wins big 98 times out of 100. But a couple times, like it is spooky season, Matt Green.
Yeah,
wearing the black and orange. You love the black helmets, though, right? You're in on the new dark mode uniforms, right?
Yeah, I like these. I mean, I'm not crazy about them because Tennessee, because, I'm a stickler for teams that don't have black in their color scheme, rocking black. I feel like, and Tennessee specifically had the smoky gray thing going for them. Like, they didn't necessarily need the second one, but they look good. Like, I can't hate on them. I thought the ones last year looked so dumb with the white helmets. You said it was a supply issue.
Yes.
I don't care. It's not an excuse. It was a bad uniform. But same uniforms with a black helmet, they'll definitely look tight.
There you go.
Hope Kentucky doesn't rock like some all white with like the chrome silver helmets like they do sometimes. Like
I like the chrome Kentucky
I
helmets. You
hope
don't
the
like
teams
those?
are a little recognized. No, I hate the chrome helmets. I hate like
Interesting.
everyone's chrome helmets. I don't think there's one team that looks good with them.
TCU has some good ones. I'm trying to think who else has
It's not
chrome.
my thing. I would choose like the Michigan State, like the matte, like the flat coloring before I'd go with the chrome. That's not my thing. Kentucky just needs to rock some basic blue, white, blue. You know, I don't like when both teams on the field are unrecognizable. I got Kentucky in white and gray, Tennessee in black. It's just, you know,
Are they wearing white and gray?
No, I'm just saying. Like, I
They
think
probably
that's what they
announced
wore.
it. I'm gonna
I
look
think
at
that's what
their
they wore versus Georgia last year. It's just like all white with those like
I remember that.
chrome silver helmets. But no, Kentucky, I just they could have good uniforms, and I feel like every week they rock like some combination that I'm like, they just look stupid. But if they rock just some basic blue and white, I feel like they'd look better than they did. They're trying too hard with the uniforms. That's what it is.
Yeah, they haven't announced it. They're not leaning into it like Tennessee does. So I don't know what they're wearing this week. Matt Green, where are we going next?
All right, let's keep it moving. We are going to Ohio State and Penn State. The Buckeyes are a 16.5-point favorite on the road. And I have a question for you. Has anyone milked one good season